The main question we're asked is, how many exotic animals do we have? But the real question is, should we have them at all? Most people never see what happens before an animal ends up in someone's home. The breeding, the shipping, the impulse buys, the animals that don't survive the expo weekend. Somewhere along the way, fascination turned into profit. And profit made us forget that these are not products. They're lives that feel stress, fear, and pain. We show them to remind ourselves of the responsibility we carry. Loving exotic animals means questioning the systems that harm them, even when it makes people uncomfortable. This is our baby, by the way, Zuzu Azula. We call her Beanie Bean. She's being a good girl right now. We let her run around a little bit. Josh is finishing the UVB. Ooh, I startled you. I'm sorry. She's kind of tired. Josh is finishing the UVB and the heat.
Oop, Emma. Good girl. Oh, yeah. Ooh, yeah. Oop, you dropped it. Do you want it? Like, I don't know.
We got the UVB mounted on the inside in the heat. I'm gonna put Beanie Girl in. Our first reptile ever was a bearded dragon, and her nickname is Bean. We're not sure how old she is, but we do know that her previous owner was a kid. Bearded dragons are not a good first pet, and definitely not a good pet for kids. The reason she became our first reptile was because she was surrendered to my job, who didn't have the space for her, so I ended up taking her in. Now, the only reason I was comfortable doing this was because I had already been working there for a few weeks. At that point, I figured I had enough professional experience from that job and my previous job working at SeaWorld. So I felt like I could provide her with a pretty good life.
So that's exactly what we did.
As time went on, more and more animals started to need our help. The next reptile we took in was a ball python named Eris. Then we later took in an albino ball python named Thea. The majority of our animals are rescues or they were surrendered to us, but this will be our first animal that we actually bought from a licensed rescue. We got our very first boa imperator from Lizard Lighthouse Rescue. It was an interesting handling session because they seemed kind of afraid of him, to be honest. He had been living in that small container at the rescue for almost a year, so guys, I had to take him home. Speaking of him, we actually don't know if he's a boy or a girl, and they actually named him Doors. We renamed him to Radagast. Lots of our animals are mistreated or neglected, so to keep this lighthearted, I'll just show you a few we've taken in. At the same expo where we adopted Radagast, we also found a corn snake pair for $100. Now, we assumed he was just tossing in the girl because she had this really gnarly scar on her belly. We'll talk more about the boy later. This year, we also took in 11 leopard geckos from a breeder who ended up getting really sick. She could no longer provide them the care they needed, so we took on the workload, and whoa, it was a lot, but I'm so glad we have almost rehomed all of them. We also took in a bearded dragon that was left abandoned in an apartment building for weeks after the owners had already moved out. And let's just say he's very spicy and temperamental because of it, but rightfully so. No living animal should be treated this way, and he's really taken a liking to her female beardie. Rarely do we ever purchase reptiles, but of course we have. We are not perfect, and early on, we made some crazy purchases. But thank God, this was not one of them. It was not a good fit. It did not work out. We did not leave the store. All things as they should be. But what we did leave the store with was 2 leopard geckos of our own. And this was actually before we took in those other 11 geckos. And early on, one of our purchases were 2 baby chameleons, one of which I rehomed to one of my reptile friends. Gumby was the first ever snake we bought once we moved to Nebraska from Florida. Oh yeah, and back to that boy corn snake, Nemo. He's our little Olympic swimmer. He loves the water bowl. I did not know corn snakes love water this much. And at that same expo, we went home with our second ever KSB, our Anery KSB for Holly. We've actually been looking for the snake for over a year before we found it. It seems like a lot, but I haven't even showed you guys half of the rescues we have. If you guys are interested in seeing a full YouTube video, I can do an hour-long video showing you guys all the animals in their full setups. Now, it's always fun to show you guys the animals, but what I love the most is educating myself on each animal and traveling to places where I can learn about them. For instance, one of my favorite places that we visited was a rattlesnake ranch in Arizona. We got to handle several venomous species and we spent basically the entire day with them on a private tour. It finally felt right for us to go legit and we formed our LLC, Arboreals and More. There were some major factors that influenced our decision on forming an LLC instead of a nonprofit. And if you guys are interested in like the legality of everything, I can do a separate video for you guys. So we decided that we were going to vend our very first reptile expo, but our intentions weren't on selling any animals. Somehow along the way, we ended up taking in a gravid tree boa without even knowing. The person we got her from did not even tell us. So we decided we'd vend at the expo to not only educate, but to try to rehome our unexpected babies as well as some of the leopard geckos that we recently took in. And this was our setup. Thank you guys so much for watching.